So much of the advice I'm hearing online lately is to not waste your time learning how to code. Now, is this good advice? In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what you should do and in what scenarios you should be investing time into learning code, specifically the details of how to code if you were to do it yourself, not just generating code with AI. And there's no question that AI has really disrupted the software engineering space. So we're going to talk about that and what you should be aware of. If you're interested in the notes for this lesson and many of my other lessons, I'll have a link down below. AI has actually improved a lot recently, and that means we can produce software faster than ever. But the problem is that creating software faster does not necessarily mean we're creating good software or software that everybody should be using. In fact, there are a lot of findings out there showing that the quality of software might actually be getting worse, even for existing software companies out there. Now, there is no question that the way we are writing software has changed. The way we work has changed. This is just one example that came to my mind, which is the number of posts on Stack Overflow over time. And you can see this has declined to almost zero. Now, of course, websites come and go, but we've seen a consistent usage of Stack Overflow, and it was really a staple of software engineering for the last several years. And then we see this very sharp decline, probably related to the use of AI for asking questions, and people not really seeing the need to go use Stack Overflow to ask questions. It could also be that many questions that needed to be asked have already been asked earlier on, so we don't need to keep asking the same things, but that really doesn't explain such a sharp decline. I think we could all agree that AI has made a big impact on companies like Stack Overflow. And you'll see articles such as this here. Microsoft CEO says up to 30% of the company's code was written by AI. And we've seen from other companies numbers as high as 75%, and I'm sure there are software companies generating all of their code with AI. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% AI driven, because a lot of this code is still going to be reviewed by the eyes of some software developer. So I think you should first separate the idea of AI written versus completely AI generated. In fact, a lot of people who are writing software using AI, they use it as just a way to basically generate the code faster than going and writing it by hand, but they're still driving the conversation and controlling what the AI is actually doing. That's a completely different strategy than just going 100% full force AI. Hey, build me out this app. Don't ask me any questions, don't make mistakes, and just seeing what comes out. So most of the big companies are using AI for software generation, and I would say that many small companies are using AI at the same level or more, trying to compete with some of the bigger companies. Now, this channel is not traditionally a news channel, and I'm probably not going to be creating content like, hey, this is what's happening with AI this week, pay attention, as that just really doesn't interest me. What I do care about is the change in strategies of software engineering and what we need to know as software developers to be able to thrive in the workplace, as well as building any custom apps. So I would say if you're building software, there's a very, very high chance you're going to be doing this through the use of AI tools, LLMs. So you're probably not going to be doing yourself a service if you completely ignore LLMs, focusing on just learning software development fundamentals. But on the flip side of this, if you go 100% on AI generated code and you don't understand those fundamentals or actually how to write code yourself, you're not going to be able to verify any of the code that is generated. So you wouldn't even be able to do a review of the code to know if it's of good quality or if there's any issues. Now, if you do go down that path where you're like, hey, I'm not going to learn any of the code, there are ways to improve the likelihood that the code is correct, but I would say it's not necessarily a 100% foolproof path. So one thing you can do is you can work on testing. Let's say we wanted to just verify that the software produces the right output if we give it a certain input. And we could write tests in software to do this. However, you have to consider that oftentimes a test just verifies the functionality and doesn't really prevent unknown bugs. So we could have something fundamentally wrong with the code that the test is failing to check. Especially if you're having AI write the tests, well, it's just going to write tests that say, hey, the code we wrote is working the way we would expect it to work. That's better than nothing, but if the way it's working is not the actual correct implementation, it's not guaranteed that you're going to have a correct output. This could lead to very hard to find bugs, or it could lead to logic errors that are hard to diagnose because the tests are passing, the code is doing something, and the test says it's good, but it's actually giving a result different than what we as humans want the code to actually do. So that could be drift in interpretation, Maybe the AI thinks the way it is implemented is correct, and we can't just trust tests blindly. And again, the tests just verify that the code is doing what it is originally designed and coded to do, but that doesn't necessarily mean what it's doing is what is correct. Hopefully that makes some sense. So you can improve your testing workflow. So one strategy is to extract any logic into pure functions that will give us very easy to test functions. And this is a great way to test because we can have a really strong level of confidence that the functions are working the way they should be working because of the type of function they are. We can give it a set of inputs and verify the outputs, knowing that that's going to cover most use cases and we're good to go. But some things are a little bit more complicated and cannot be extracted into these pure functions. So for example, we might have some code that retrieves data from a database. And we might write some integration tests to confirm that this works, and it gives us the result we expect. But the way it actually retrieves that data could be highly inefficient. And this could be a problem even with some of those pure functions as well. If it's doing some algorithm that's terribly inefficient, it might get the right answer, but it might be doing it in such a way that is really, really bad. This really shows up at scale when you're working with more data. So if you've ever done anything with data structures and algorithms, you would know that when you increase the input size, the time and space complexity of that algorithm or data structure is very important, because if you are doing something in an inefficient way, it could become very, very slow with even a small amount of data. So let's say we had some code that retrieved the top 100 users and their data. So it does a request to retrieve the top 100, and then for each one of those 100 records, we send off another query to get the details for that data. This is a terrible query design, but it's pretty common, especially if you're just doing simple apps and you're not really worrying about the efficiency of accessing data from the database. But this is an n+1 query, where we have one main query to get the set of data, and then n queries to retrieve the data for each one of those top level rows. So that's just one example. The test might say, hey, this code works, but the way it actually gets to the result is terribly inefficient and is going to prevent you from creating a high quality software. This is just one example, but I would say that alone is enough to completely obliterate the idea that you shouldn't learn code at all, because that's something, if you've never worked with code, you've never worked with SQL, you're probably not even going to be knowing what the code is actually doing. Yes, you could ask the AI to analyze for inefficient queries and make improvements. So I'm not going to ignore the fact that some people do vibe code apps completely end to end, but I think that's going to unnecessarily limit you in what you're capable of, because you don't even have an idea of how you should direct the LLM to get a higher quality result. Oftentimes it'll give you a couple of different options, and if you don't know what you're doing, you might just take the recommended route every single time, ultimately giving you a software that is not as good as it could be. So I think this ties back to the idea that we're getting more software written. New apps are popping up, but so many of these are what I would say are AI slop apps. We basically just throw a bunch of generated code together to create some app, and then we try to sell it, get some users really quick. And it's not really a high quality software that has like a long-term life expectancy, if that makes sense, because we could just recreate the same functionality again in a new app. So we're basically just repackaging logic in all these different apps. So to answer the question directly, should you learn to code? I would say yes, but I would not do it the same way I would do it necessarily 5 years ago. I do think there is a time just to turn your LLM off completely and learn the fundamentals, the basics, but this should not be a long ongoing process, and that's a common problem I see with people. They think that if they use the AI tools, they're going to not develop any coding abilities, and I just don't think this is true. So if I was to learn to code again, my approach would be slightly different. Yes, I would learn the fundamentals, not relying on AI, but I would also go very heavily with LLMs as well. So maybe we could split these ideas, spend some time just learning how to code, the act of writing functions and objects and loops and services, the core fundamentals you might have done 5 years ago, but then I would also spend time working within LLMs with a few constraints. The first, review any of the code that is generated, understand any of the code that is generated, and as code is being generated, do research so you're not just sitting there scrolling social media. Actually invest time into learning what the AI is doing, and this is actually going to help you get a much faster progress, not only on your app, but also on your understanding. I would say my rate of learning has actually increased with the use of LLMs. I've talked to people where they're like, I just don't like LLMs because I'm not using my brain. And to me, it's the opposite problem because I am always the bottleneck in the LLM creating stuff because I want to have some input into the actual choices it's making. And the better you are with software, you can combine these two things, right? You're a better software engineer. You're better at working with LLMs. You can get a really, really good result. And I would caution you of buying into the idea that you shouldn't let AI generate your code, but just use it for understanding. Once you know how to write something, there's not a whole lot of value in being able to do it yourself manually. In many situations, that's just going to slow you down. And this is really just a choice to be competitive. If other developers or other companies are creating software much faster than you because of AI, it's going to be very hard to compete with that if you're writing every single thing by hand. Another argument for the value of learning how to code yourself is it's often very valuable to give the AI something to anchor off of for the other stuff it creates. So at one point, I was having AI generate some pages for me, didn't really love the way it was working, and going back and forth wasn't getting me the results I wanted. So I just said, hey, stop, I'm going to write this one by hand. Spend a day working on some stuff, but then for the prompts in the upcoming work, I was able to basically say, going off of this previous code or this previous page, create me something similar, but a little bit different for this other data. So basically at that point, I'm just using the AI as an extension of myself doing things much faster instead of creating the whole thing from scratch. And when I wrote that by hand, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so extremely slow. But it actually saved a lot of time in the long run because it improved all of the future code that was written. And I'm really curious to see how things change and improve over time because making this video a few years ago would have seemed crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see massive improvements in not just the AI code generation, but AI review of the actual code. So that way we can basically make sure that AI is creating good stuff and not just according to some spec, but actually evaluating it according to high quality software engineering principles and consistency across your code base. Now, obviously, some of that exists, like you can have AI do reviews and there's different tools out there, but I just think that's probably the biggest thing lacking right now. People are generating software, pushing it out the door and calling it a day. The amount of bugs, AI generated slop, and generally unstable software that has been released is insane, and that number seems to just keep going up at this point, not down. So I think even if some of those tools and capabilities exist out there for AI to actually improve the quality of the AI generated code, it's not being utilized to its full potential. So if I was going to start something, that would be the very first thing I look at. How can we actually improve our workflows, the quality of our software? Because if we could reduce the amount of time wasted on fixing bugs or working on instability issues, that's going to give us much more time to actually create features, get new customers, or whatever it might be. So to summarize everything I just said, yes, I would learn how to code, and yes, I would use AI tools and do both of those things because that's going to help you get the best result possible. Additionally, I'll have a lot of upcoming content on building software, some of my approaches, and actually doing some of that with you guys. So I'm actually really excited for that. If that sounds fun, please be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, because I'm going to show you how you can take everything I just talked about today and apply that to building real-world software. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.